Good evening, everybody. If I could get everybody to go ahead and grab a seat. All the people associated with the project, everybody grab a seat. It's going to be a good hour, and we want you to enjoy a good hour. And these reserved seats are no longer reserved. So you want to sit up close? Sit up close. Here, we'll move the tape and everything. And before I actually, come on everybody in the back, have a seat, relax, it's a fun evening. Before we begin, we do have a translator here, and I want to make sure somebody help me with that. Who's our translator? Or interpreter, I should say. Who's our interpreter? They're here? They're outside? Okay.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Gloria y soy la intérprete esta noche. ¿Alguien necesita aparatos de traducción para escuchar la presentación en español? Por favor, levanten la mano. O si saben de alguien que venga, por favor, me avisan. Estoy allá afuera en la mesa con el equipo. Gracias. Thank you.
Great. Well, good evening. My name is Gary Lee Moore. I'm the city engineer for the city of Los Angeles, and I'm very pleased to be here tonight at our community outreach meeting here in the beautiful Puente Learning Center. Before I say any more, I would like to invite up Laura Lechtenberg, where's Laura? I know there she is, to welcome us to her home here. Yay.
Thank you, Gary. Now, actually, we're lucky we have our founder and CEO, Sister Jenny Lechtenberg, here in the back of the room. She'll probably kill me for saying that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry. On behalf of Sister Jenny and Puente Learning Center, welcome to Puente Learning Center. I just wanted to get up and let everyone know, because you probably don't know that what's going on upstairs right now. We have English as a second language classes, we have high school diploma. During the day, we have a job training program, we have a computer repair program. We truly serve the entire family here at Puente Learning Center. So we welcome you. Our students live in this neighborhood and will be using the 6th Street Viaduct every day. Another thing I wanted to mention is that Puente Learning Center has an upcoming golf tournament on Monday, October 20th, and this looks like a room of potential golfers. And I have to be honest with you, a few years ago when we had this event in this very room, I did get some sponsors for the Puente Golf Tournament. So it's Monday, October 20th, and if you're interested in coming and golfing, it's a very, very good networking. Just come and talk to me. I'll be here tonight. Thank you.
You know, infrastructure, we use it every day, and it's important in our lives, but sometimes infrastructure rises to a new level. And that's what we had visioned with the 6th Street Viaduct when we said we all knew it was very sick with, I'll be technical for 1 second, alkali silica reaction, which means that the concrete is actually cracking, it's coming apart. And since our past brothers and sisters designed and built this viaduct, it's very special to all of us in the Bureau of Engineering. And we did not want to have to replace this viaduct. But unfortunately, it had to be replaced. And in 2012, when we all came together and we committed to announce the design competition internationally, we promised you something special. And we thank everybody who came during that time, who gave input. We had hundreds of people providing input during the design competition. And we were very pleased when we were able to select HNTB with Michael Maltzan Architects to be the selected designer on this project. And there's not many, for 29 years working for the city of LA, I can't say I've ever had a 45-foot model that's been built on any project. So you'll count the arches. There's only 3 arches missing from this, and we were talking with our team tonight, might as well build the other 3 arches and have a complete set, you know? It's like we've been collecting one of these with every meal we get another arch, and so now we're just 3 arches short, but the model is extremely impressive, and you're gonna hear about the details of this. You know, throughout this process, Councilman Weezar and I, we worked together on this, and I came to him and I said, what do you think about this design competition? What do you think about not just replacing it, because it's been almost 90 years since this bridge was built. What about doing something that we don't know what's going to happen, but let's work together? And of course, he embraced it. Councilman, you've been just a champion of this. You've been a champion of the money that's involved in this, the champion to working with the community on this. It is my great pleasure to introduce your council member of the 14th District, Councilman Jose Huizar.
Thank you very much, Gary, and thank you for the work that you and your team have done, not only on this project, but many other projects that is making the city of LA get up to speed with the infrastructure needs. And I want to also thank and put a plug in for our host tonight, Puente Learning Center. This is where my daughter is currently attending preschool, and my 3 other kids attended preschool. So I have a soft spot in my heart for this place since it sets the foundations for my kids' future learning. So thank you very much to the Lechtenbergs. I really appreciate all the work you do. And I'll put in a plug as well for the golf tournament. It's a great tournament that I've attended for the past few years. I think I missed one or one, I think, but it's a lot of fun. Anybody who wants to challenge me out there, I'll challenge you, and we'll see what happens. But I'll let you win. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. This is a very important meeting where we're updating the community on the progress of the 6th Street Viaduct project. And I want to first and foremost thank as well the community for the work you have been doing to keep informed, to give your input. And I think the process we've had has been a very good one and has resulted, I think, in a project that we could all be very, very proud of. As Gary Lee Moore said, when the staff first came to my office and asked or mentioned that the current bridge had to be torn down because of the materials that were used to build it, it was actually eating itself up. I, as a preservationist, a historical preservationist, originally said, no, we can't do that to one of our iconic bridges. Isn't there any way to preserve it, rehabilitate it, put in some stronger beams or whatever it is we need to do. But then we realized that that wasn't possible. The next question was, should we replicate what was there? And we had a long community discussions about that. But we thought that with the opportunity to create another iconic structure here for downtown LA and Boyle Heights, we would do an international competition to get the best of the best to give us their ideas about the possibilities. And this is the result. I think what we selected after a community process, I remember being here not too long ago where we had several models, and this is the model that most people agreed with. I think that the work that HNTV and Michael Maltzan have done is one that not only creates a bridge for us to get from point A to point B, but creates a point C, something that in itself will be a destination point for many people to come and visit, peer out, get the beautiful views, and also enjoy the ground level as we are looking to revitalize the river and the banks of both sides for more activity for all of us. So I think what we have is a very good product. One of the things I'm proud of is that we are not only thinking about how do we get cars from point A to point B, but that we are also thinking of multimodal means of transportation, which is very, very important. If anybody tries to walk right now during past the 6th Street Bridge, you get a number of cars whizzing by, and it is not as pedestrian friendly as it can be. And one thing that we kept in mind, that the architects kept in mind, the community asked for, was pedestrian-friendly walkways, not only to get across the bridge, but also in the arches, which is one of my favorite parts of the bridge, which is in some points of the arches, you could actually come down to the ground level, which is very, very unique. Something that was important to myself and others as well were the bike lanes that we've added to ensure that we continue to add to the city's bike network. And we are probably building more bike lanes than compared to any other large city. We're, I think, catching up to a lot of supporting other means of transportation. One of the things that I want to applaud the city team for is that we almost lost some funding, about $20 million that we were told we were not eligible for from Caltrans for some of the additional amenities we have on here, and staff may go into that. But I think the staff at the Bureau of Engineering did a wonderful job of corralling not only my office, but the mayor's office and other elected officials to work with Caltrans to explain to them the importance of moving forward with the additional $20 million. And the good news is that we received a word from Caltrans that they will continue to award those $20 million, which is very, very good news. I want to publicly thank the office of Congressmember Becerra, State Senator Kevin De Leon, our mayor's office, and my own staff, Nate, who went up to testify at Caltrans and meet with Caltrans to make sure that funding stayed in place. And last but not least, one of the things I wanted to mention is the connectivity to the river. And as you know, we adopted an LA River Master Plan that was approved 7 years ago. And one thing that this bridge took in mind as we designed it was to ensure that that additional activity we planned for the river and the banks was taken into account. And so, for example, we're hoping to have an in-channel bike path in the future. We're hoping to have more recreational activity on both sides of the banks of the river. And keeping with that in mind, this bridge takes that into account as it was designed. We recently also awarded, through some of the advocacy of my office, $1 million for a soccer field at the bottom of the Arts District site, right? For the Boyle Heights site, right? The Boyle Heights site, for that to move forward. And as we move forward, my office, the mayor's office, and others will be looking for additional funding to create more recreational opportunities at the lower end of the river, of the bridge. So thank you so much for coming out. Thank you so much for being part of this. This is really exciting. It's one of the largest, the city's largest public works projects right now. And the progress that we've been taking has been very good, very positive. I look forward to a I love to put the staff on the spot. I look forward to a groundbreaking when?
The first buildings will be coming down late this year, actually.
Late this year. So we're probably going to have a groundbreaking late this year, okay? And as I like to say, when I was in the school board where we built over 100 new schools, I love groundbreakings, but I love ribbon cuttings even better. So we will see each other when in the ribbon cutting?
At the end of 2018, 2019, right?
At the end of 2018. So you heard it here publicly. So that's my way of keeping our staff accountable. But thank you so much. If I had more time, I'd come with my 6-year-old son and play Godzilla here, but they say they want to keep this for some other showings. We can't destroy it. And if we are going to keep it, we'll keep it someplace nice after the bridge is built. I am looking forward to the artistic component. We did select an artist not too long ago to build the artistic component of this. We will hopefully be informed of that process as well. And we will also, there's been some ideas that come up that we will speak with our staff about some of the original materials that are there now, if there's something we can do as a remembrance for the bridge in the future, and to use some of those materials. So thank you so much. I need to run over to downtown. We have a public hearing on the streetcar project that we're building in downtown LA, so I have to run off, but my staff will be here. Paul Habib, can you raise your hand? If you have any questions that want to be directed at my office, please let Paul Habib know. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Thank you.
You know, there's about 10, 12 seats up front. I really encourage you to come on up and use them, relax and enjoy it. Michael and I, we took a shower somewhere, not together, I'm not saying that. We took showers, we're clean. A little bit of fun here. So please come on up. There's more seats up here. It's fun up close. It looks beautiful. Come on up. Before I turn it over to our Chief Deputy City Engineer, I do want to introduce a few other people that are here tonight representing different offices and different agencies. First of all, I'd like to introduce Mr. Matt Zabo, Commissioner with the Board of Public Works. Good evening, Matt. You know, Mayor Garcetti has always been a champion of the Los Angeles River, and he's somebody who's always touted innovation, and he's really pushing us to make this, as he says, our back to basics, meaning caring about infrastructure. And he knows this bridge and the details extremely well. And representing him tonight is Emmett McCosker. Emmett, where are you? There's Emmett back there. Yay, Emmett. You know, and you heard Councilman Huizar talk about our friends, and Congressman Becerra has been just another great champion of this and helping us through the financial maze that you have to go through. And representing him tonight is Urban De Lau. Sorry. And the Neighborhood Council, so important to all of us, and the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council. Is it Rita Overa Rodriguez? Where's Rita? There you are. Glad you're here. And two last introductions. One of the things we set up when we were going through the design competition and continues to give us input is the Design Aesthetics Advisory Committee. And we have two members of that committee here tonight. One of them from the Arts District, Jonathan Gerald. Where's Jonathan? Yay, Jonathan. And our final introduction tonight is Ozzy Lopez. There's Ozzy back there. Thanks, Ozzy. So, you're in a treat for it tonight. And how many of you have been to one of the other previous community meetings or so forth associated with the 6th Street? Just let the people. So, not everybody has. So it's important to give you just a little bit of background. And somebody I work with on a daily basis who's outstanding. She's an architect. She's also the first deputy city engineer, my friend and a great leader on this project, Ms. Deborah Weintraub. Deborah?
We have a great turnout here today, which is really wonderful. I'm here just to give you a little bit of background on the project. Terrence, do you want to? I want to go back for a minute. So this is basically the outline of what we're going to do today. I'll give you some background, and the architect, Michael Maltzan, will talk you through the model that's here and the landscape concept. We'll go over the intersection improvements that come along with the project. We'll have the contractor talk to you about how there are opportunities for community members to participate in the construction, and then we'll do quick Q&A. So moving right along, because we have a lot to cover. So the viaduct, the original viaduct, was built in 1932, and as Gary mentioned to you, it is suffering from this kind of concrete cancer alkali silica reaction, so it's actually degrading from the inside. And after a long time consulting experts all over the world, we came to the conclusion that it couldn't be preserved. It was retrofitted briefly in '95, that's held it over till now. So its vulnerability led us to the decision that we needed to do a new bridge. And out of that discussion, as the councilman and Gary have talked about, we set off to actually create a bridge that would fit within the iconic bridges that go up and down the river in the tradition of that movement, the City Beautiful movement, create an icon of our time with materials that represent the capabilities of concrete in this moment in time, of engineering and design capabilities of concrete. So we held many public meetings on the project. I'm not going to read the slide to you because you can read it. We go to the next slide. We also, this is largely federal funded, almost 99% federal funding. So we have a lot of oversight, as Gary mentioned, with both Caltrans, who's the local agency that oversees the federal funding, and the funding comes from the Federal Highway Administration. So we've worked very closely with those agencies to get the project approved, and now they're doing almost weekly reviews of all the plans. So this project will replace the existing 3,500-foot-long viaduct that's currently there. And it spans not only over the river, which is actually just a small piece of the project, but over two significant rail corridors on both sides of the river, and the industrial area on the Boyle Heights side, a freeway, the 101 freeway, and then finally touches down. So as you can imagine, with all of those friends that we have to coordinate with, there's a lot of discussions and interface with each of those entities. But this slide basically shows you the existing bridge, which has a kink in the middle near the river, and that, along with the fact that the concrete is really decaying, led the federal government to agree to pay for the replacement of the viaduct. So as the councilman mentioned, I think it is probably one of the top 1 or 2 infrastructure projects we're working on. And the nice thing about this one is it's not a sewer project, because those get very expensive, but they're all underground. We're looking at this infrastructure project as something that not only spans and connects these 2 communities, but as a piece of infrastructure provides urban amenities and urban connections that really could bring benefits to the community. So it's not a traditional piece of infrastructure. It's more about connectivity, urban design, related uses, as much as it is about getting cars, people, and bicycles from one place to another. Next slide. So as the councilman made us promise to the end of 2018, but we're saying probably more likely the new viaduct will be open in early 2019. We're going to start the intersection improvements the end of this year, and those are improvements that help with the detours that need to happen in order for us to take down the old bridge, because we understand there will be traffic impacts in the neighborhoods when the old bridge is down. Fortunately, after much discussion with Caltrans and the Federal Highway Administration, we were able to convince them, because traditionally they would only pay for temporary detour improvements, where you literally put a light pole, a light signal on a temporary stand. They agreed that because of the length of time it will take to construct the new bridge, that all the intersection improvements will be permanent. And we're very happy to be able to do that. Next slide. So this breaks down the $419 million. That's the total cost of the project. We have completed the preliminary engineering and the environmental clearance. We are in the midst of right-of-way, which is really land acquisition and any utility relocations. We're working closely with our friends at the Department of Water and Power with some power lines that have to be relocated. And we're about halfway through our final design process. This breaks down the cost of, the majority of course goes to the construction of the viaduct. Next. So, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Michael Maltzan, who is going to talk you through the model. I think he was going to walk over to Bob. I think with this many people in the room, I think you're going to have to do it from here, and maybe Tim can point as you talk. So Michael Maltzan is a local architect. His offices are in Silver Lake with an international design reputation, which is great for us. We've brought really local talent to what I think will be an iconic structure for LA, and hopefully understood and represented all over the world. He's known for creating very special places. He worked here in Los Angeles on the Inner City Arts Complex. Some of you may know that. It's a beautiful arts complex for children. He's worked on a recently completed project, One Santa Fe, on the west side of the river near First Street, and also supportive housing, the new Carver Apartments in downtown. He's also worked on projects outside Los Angeles, the Museum of Modern Art in Queens, a art center in Winnipeg, a pier in St. Petersburg, Florida, and others. I won't go through the long list, but his passion for design, his commitment to this project, his vision has been really important for us as we've moved through the design and made adjustments and thought about how to make things happen. So with that, I'm going to introduce you to Michael Maltzan. Thanks.
Is that on? Great. They gave me a mic, so I think I can actually walk around the model, hopefully, because it's exciting to be able to show you the model, present the project in 3 dimensions. Even in our own studio, we don't have a space large enough to see it all together like this. So this is a real treat for us as well, because that full span is impressive. And one of the reasons to bring the model tonight, as opposed to showing the project just in renderings or drawings, is that this project is really about an incredible scale, a civic and an urban scale. This piece of infrastructure and its effect on the entire community, I think, can only be felt when you see the scale, the people, the cars, the bicyclists on the model itself. It also gives you a sense of the bridge from how you normally see the bridge, either far away, if you've come up to the model, on top of the bridge deck, but to be able to see underneath the bridge and some of the spaces that will support the amenities that I want to talk about more in a moment. The council person talked about many of the themes of the project. He's been by the office now. He's studied the models. I think he did actually very well on the test in terms of understanding what the primary themes are. The first of those is something Deborah mentioned, which is an original goal of this project. It's meant to be an important icon in the city that also ties together into the other iconographic and important suite of bridges that march up and down from north to south and back again along the LA River. Those are a city amenity that shouldn't be underestimated. Part of the City Beautiful program many years ago, and with the increasing visibility of the river as a real amenity in the city, these bridges are only going to become more and more a real part of the quality, the value of this portion of Los Angeles. We're trying to celebrate that with this new bridge. But it's not just about the crossing over the river, which is marked by those tall arches, but it's, in our design, a series of arches, 20 all told, 10 on each side, that act as a ribbon of arches linking the different communities from east to west together. I think that sense of the bridge as a connective element that is trying to weave communities together, infrastructure that no longer separates communities, which it has too often done in this city, but an infrastructure that truly does tie together not only the communities east and west of the river, but also to make accessible the land and the river that are underneath the bridge. That weaving together of these different communities and amenities in the city is a rare thing for infrastructure to try to achieve, and I think it's one of the reasons this bridge has the opportunity to be a real icon, a real marker of the way the city is continuing to progress, the way the city is continuing to move forward. These models are literally our design models. So in some cases, if you look at them closely, they're a little rough because we're still working on the bridge. We're still developing the different relationships between the aesthetics and the engineering, which need to obviously go together, but also the way the bridge ties together with all of the surrounding space and those amenities under the bridge, the way the stairs work, the way guardrails work, the way lighting works. But it starts here on the east side. The arches have 3 different heights. Each one spans approximately 200 feet, with the exception of the arches over the railways, which are about 250 feet in length, which are significant spans. On the east side, there are 2 arches which are 40 feet tall. They're the second highest arches. The intention there, by making them slightly taller, is that as a gateway to the bridge and also to the east and to Boyle Heights, that those taller arches mark your real entry onto the bridge and into the community. So those are a bit taller. Also, from the 101 freeway, as it passes under the bridge, we wanted to make sure that it wasn't a simple underpass, but that the bridge was also, and the arches, played a very significant visual role in giving you the sense that this is a point of real gateway in Los Angeles as a whole. So these arches are a bit taller. As you begin to move further west, the typical arch is 30 feet tall up over the deck, And these arches continue on all the way to the point where you get to the first rail line, at which point one of the arches which is missing, one of the 3 pairs of arches that are missing, jumps up to 65 feet, crosses the river at 30 feet, and jumps up again to 65 feet. So that very tall arch you see at the end of the model, there's actually a pair of them which act as bookends on either side of the river crossing the railroad tracks, and also helps to mark the significance of that crossing over the river. The arches will be lit at night. The arches are lit in a way, not just the signature spans over the river, but each of these arches. Again, to give you the sense, the impression at night that this literally is a ribbon of arches spanning from one side of the city to the other. We're working with some of the latest lighting technology, LED lighting technology, which creates a very controlled beam on the arch itself. That means that we'll get full uplighting on the arches, but there will be no light spilling on either side. So we're not contributing to any light pollution in and around the city. I think that's one of the themes of this bridge, is to not only work aesthetically with a lot of the engineering, but to use some of the latest, most sustainable and most future-looking technologies. In 2 locations on the east side, we have stairs, links to the underneath and the park at the ground level with the level of the bridge itself. The bridge is very much certainly about cars. That has been its primary purpose. But as the communities that surround it continue to expand, evolve, as a multimodal bridge, as the council person mentioned, that also means that the bridge needs to allow for cars, trucks, buses, but very much for bicycles and pedestrians. This bridge has been designed not with pedestrians and bicycles as an afterthought, but integrated from day one. These arches with the stairs over them are a way for pedestrians to use the bridge to access the soccer field, the other park amenities that I'll talk more about in a second, down below. But also there are plenty of businesses that exist in that flats area, and these stairs allow access to those businesses as well. You can see the very wide walkways all along, especially afterwards you come up and look at the model in more detail. The very wide walkways which allow safe pedestrian access, removed from the cars with a barrier that separates the pedestrians from the cars. Bicyclists are on the other side in dedicated bicycle lanes that run on both sides of the bridge to give bicycles a clear and safe access from both sides of the bridge. Something interesting, maybe this is a bit technical, but the barrier that separates pedestrians from cars has been one of the great achievements in this design. It's a guardrail at its most primary function. But one of the things we wanted to do was to get away from all of the tall pole lights that you normally see on bridges around the city. But still, we needed to make for a safe and well-lit roadway, as well as the bikeway and pedestrian way. We've integrated with new strip LED technology, lighting into the barrier along the entire length of the bridge. That means that you're not going to see a bunch of poles that have a lot of spill and are glary on top of the bridge, and I think would detract from the aesthetics of the ribbon of arches, but instead 2 lines of light that shine across the roadway and also shine onto the pedestrian way, creating a very nice ambient lighting effect, but also creating a great sense of light on the roadway itself. We've done some initial tests of that with the Bureau of Street Lighting. It looks really great. We think it's going to be very successful. And again, a very imaginative and new way of lighting streets and bridges. The stairs that I mentioned that come from the deck up from grade and back down, continue along in 2 locations on the east side with stairways up over the arches. You see one here and also one just down a little bit further. The stairs create access, as I mentioned, in a very pragmatic way. But we're also very conscious that from the bridge, there are fabulous views. In fact, I'd say that this bridge is just as much about seeing the city and the communities around you and getting a sense of the vitality of this part of the city as it is, as much as it's important to look at the bridge from far away and see it as more of an icon. These continuous arches provide access with those views back and forth, but also we think, especially it's been expressed by other community members, that these can become part of different events. For instance, a 5K run that is around the park, that this becomes part of the course and then back again. Being able to climb on the infrastructure, being able to climb on the bridge in a safe, controlled, and very focused way allows for the infrastructure to take on a different life, a different spirit, for people to access it and touch the bridge in a more complete way. If you were to look under the bridge, one of the things that we've worked intensely on with HNTB, the entire design team, is to continue to create a very sculptural, very sinuous, curvilinear presence to the bridge underneath. The goal is not to just concentrate on the outside and the top of the bridge, but there's an awful lot of space underneath, and we're working to make the aesthetics of the underneath of the bridge just as impressive and just as important as what you see from far away or on the bridge itself. This is big enough that while I don't want to push the metaphor too far, I think this bridge can be one of the great halls or one of the great spaces, one of the great public cathedrals for the city. That underneath space, highly programmed as a vital space, gives something back to the community as opposed to it being just the underneath of another piece of highway infrastructure in the city. As we move further west, you can see the taller arches as they span over the railway to the west. One of the things that doesn't show in this model, but it'll show in the drawings on the landscape, is that the bike paths, while they're on the bridge, also connect to 2 spiraling bike ramps that connect on the east side, creating access off of the bridge for bicycles and to the bridge for bicycles to the park space down below. So that's a way that the bicycles become very connected to the bridge up above. On the further west side, there is another bike ramp which is at the very end here, and you can begin to get a sense of it, which peels down and connects into a new park, a small pocket park on the west side. What's important about this bicycle ramp is that it then ties into the Arts Plaza, which has not really been rendered yet on this model. But you do begin to see the tunnel access, the river gateway access, under the railroad tracks to that future bike path in the river. And that connectivity is important because the bridge is meant fundamentally to give access between the communities, but also to the river. So this will provide access for bicyclists, pedestrians as well, safely under the railroad tracks and eventually coming out here to the river where you see people kayaking. There is one other stair access adjacent to the Arts Plaza. One of the things that we're beginning to work much more intensely on right now is the connection between what we've achieved so far from an engineering and aesthetic standpoint with the amenities, especially the landscape amenities, down below. Maybe we can go, Terrence, can you slide to those pictures? Well, I'm going to have to get a bigger office because now that I see it like this, this doesn't work anymore. It's good, but it's not quite as good. You start to see the underneath and the curvilinear form, how muscular the bridge is, sitting up on these bearings. One of the developments in the bridge is for seismic safety, that the entire bridge will be base isolated. In other words, it has almost like shock absorbers underneath the bridge, so that if the bridge were to move in an earthquake, the foundations move at one speed, but the bridge moves in a much slower way. For instance, City Hall is now base isolated, and it's one of the latest and most technologically advanced ways to create real seismic earthquake safety on the bridge. Let me get to those landscape plans. Great. Now, Hargraves Associates, who's on our team and is the landscape architect, has begun to develop the landscaping. They've been working with us from the very beginning, but now that we're further along, they can truly begin to develop the landscape. I'm not a landscape architect, so I can't talk all that much about the specifics of the plants and the trees, but the spaces and the way that they're integrated with the bridge, I think is becoming really a fabulous design. This is where the rail tracks are this is the east side of the underneath of the bridge. Here you see the 101 freeway up above Boyle Heights. The bridge is spanning across the entire swath of this park underneath. This is Mission Road down below. At the west side of the park are the bicycle ramps that I mentioned that come down and connect and eventually touch down at the lowest level at this point in the park. They are bicycle ramps. They're very gentle. They're also ADA compliant so that they have a long length to get down this far from the top of the bridge. That will all be landscaped around these very sculptural elements. As you move a little bit further along, right now in the plans is a larger park area, and that is marked really centered around a couple of specific amenities. One of the ones the council person touched on, which is the soccer field, artificial turf, which means it's usable year-round, and that's centered between two of the columns, right underneath where one of the stairs comes down, and that's marked by green underneath the model that you can see there. It's only a portion of it in the model. It's a larger soccer field than what you see in the model itself. But that's meant to be a real center of lots of activity in the park. Secondly, there is a spray ground for primarily for kids and the families. And given the last week we've had in terms of temperature and the week we're probably about to have, you can imagine this becoming a very popular destination in this park area. The entire park is a mix of hardscape, decomposed granite, as well as trees and planting, the artificial turf. There'll be a series of benches, pedestrian lights. It'll be a very well lit park space. These pathways continue along to a larger multi-purpose lawn between Clarence and Anderson Street, and eventually into a bit more landscaping, and then you're at the 101 freeway, which you see here, with the idea that this entire berm becomes landscaped. It's not really accessible, but at least it's a more visual amenity. On the west side of the Los Angeles River, the bridge is spanning across and finally touching down at Mateo Street. There is a portion of the site. There are some buildings here now which will be taken down as a part of the bridge project. There's a larger pocket park that spans from Santa Fe Avenue to Mateo, which will be installed. This is where one of the bike ramps on the west side I mentioned touches down and turns into a series of pathways. There's a larger multi-purpose lawn. These bike and pedestrian paths come and connect to the Arts Plaza, which is underneath the largest of the arches that you see in the model. This is a multi-purpose space meant to be able to be used by individuals, by small groups, and also for large performances. We've begun to meet with different performance consultants to make sure that it's capable of being able to be used as a real community center, community destination. This is also where the plaza slopes down and eventually connects to the underneath River Gateway under the tracks and daylights out at the Los Angeles River, which would be where the connection to the in-channel bike path would be. This Arts Plaza includes green space, ground cover slopes, as well as seating and lighting as well. There's some adjacent areas that are part of project areas that will be part of the larger landscape program for the bridge as a whole. I'd encourage everybody to take a look at the model more close up. I think you get a much better sense of what the bridge will really feel like and look like. But I'd like to reinforce again that all of these parts are starting to come together and weave together the engineering, the architecture, certainly the budgets and the schedule of the bridge to try to create a real community destination, a place of true connection between communities, between different parts and areas of the city that have been for too long have been disconnected, but to create an icon in the city that isn't just an icon to look at, but is an icon that can be used by the communities that surround the bridge and for it to be a real destination for the entire city of Los Angeles. Thank you.
We will, at the end of tonight's presentation, have some time for questions and answers. Once again, I want to say my name is Gary Lee Moore. I'm the city engineer for the city of LA. And, you know, Deborah and I had the opportunity to speak along with Michael, and it takes a large team to deliver a $420 million project. But all those people that are either part of the team or going to be part of the team, raise your hands so we can acknowledge you. Raise your hands. There they are. A round of applause for all of them, what they're doing. You know, Deborah and I are blessed. We have over 423 projects right now, totaling $2.6 billion, but obviously we spend a lot of time on this project. But as Michael said, keeping everything on schedule and within budget and watching out for all the details is our project manager, Alfred Mott. I'd like Alfred to come up and introduce our next speaker. Alfred, please.
Thank you, Gary. That was a great presentation, Michael. Thank you very much. Before we construct this viaduct, we're going to be implementing some intersection improvements along the detour route because we're going to have to demolish the existing viaduct. And we're very pleased, as Deborah mentioned earlier, that when we make these intersection improvements, which we're going to go through and give you a brief presentation on what those types of improvements are, left turn signals, improved curb ramps for the ADA crossing. We're pleased that these improvements are not going to be temporary, but they're going to be permanent. So they're going to be a lasting benefit to the community to help facilitate traffic flow throughout the community after this project is completed. So with that, I want to introduce Terrence Powell from HNTB, who's going to give us a brief update on these improvements. Terrence?
Thanks, Albert. Good evening, everybody. Today I'm going to touch on two intersections. The first one is 4th Street at the 101 freeway. So this is east of the LA River. On 4th Street today, this is the aerial image of the condition today, courtesy Google Earth. The intersection to the left side of the page, Pecan Street, today is a stop control intersection. So 4th Street is free-flowing, Pecan is stop control on both sides. Next to it is the southbound off-ramp of the 101 freeway, which is also controlled by a stop sign. So with the additional detour traffic during construction of the viaduct, when we have traffic diverted to both 4th Street and 7th Street, there's going to be a lot more traffic on 4th. So traffic on the off-ramp is going to sit still for quite some time. So the improvement is going to be, we will install a brand new traffic signal system at that intersection, and that will function, it'll operate together with the other side of the freeway, the northbound off-ramp. So it'll be controlled together to maximize the number of traffic flow. So that's the permanent signal we're putting in. We're also going to improve at a few of the corners the wheelchair ramps, bringing the old wheelchair ramps up to the current code, make sure that they're ADA compliant. You see the dark blackish line at some of the corners here. Those are the curb ramps that we're going to be putting in. Also, we are improving by also, we're going to be improving the intersection by installing the new continental style crosswalk, better demarcation for drivers, and maximize safety. Also, at the right-hand side of the page, also that off-ramp, we're going to put in the continental crosswalk as well. The next location is the west of the river at 5th Street and Central Avenue. Again, existing condition today. On Central Avenue, there's no control, it's free-flowing traffic. You see Central going from left to right, which means going from south to north. There are 2 left turn lanes today, and folks have to be very careful and wait for the right gap to make the turn. So what we're planning to do is, again, install a brand new traffic signal system to better control the left turn movement to maximize safety, and also the access ramps. We're going to put in new access ramps, ADA compliant, and also put in the continental crosswalk. So after all, these improvements are going to improve traffic flow, maximize safety not only for drivers but also for pedestrians.
You know, one of the other exciting things that we did in this project here is what we do is we design the entire project, and then we go out and we bid the project and we select a contractor. But we knew in this type of project here, sometimes our stomach is bigger than the funding available. And we said, we don't want to promise this project to you, the community, and not be able to deliver on it. So we've done something that we've never done before, and that's where we've actually hired the contractor to come in and be with us during design, making sure we don't go past the budget, and also help us on constructability and the vision. And it's really something special, and we look forward to doing it on larger projects. The team that we have built here is it's very special. And Skanska, Stacy, and Whitbeck was the winning team that was selected. And we're very blessed. They've got their office all set up. They're in all the design meetings and really as a partner. And also, before I introduce him, I do want to make sure that I, by name, call out Vic Martinez, the project manager for HNTB, where all the consultants work for Vic there on the design side. So Vic, stand up there and please give a call. And one other team member that's also part of this team, CHM Hill, is our program manager, working with Alfred and his team, making it all possible also, along with our outreach team. That is so important that we know what's going on in the community and hearing back from you. And so with that, I'm going to bring up Lawrence Demore. There he is from Skanska, Stacy, and Whitbeck. Yay, Lawrence.
Good evening. So my name is Lawrence Demore. I'm a project executive with Skanska, and we formed a joint venture partnership with Stacy and Whitbeck. Skanska, you may know us from a long time ago. We used to be called Jaeger, and our headquarters is out in Riverside, California. We've been in business since 1919, having done work in Southern California since that time. We partnered with Stacy and Whitbeck on this project because they were very experienced. They're very experienced in the CMGC process. Combined with our expertise in highway and bridge building here in Southern California, we thought we made a great team, and thankfully the city thought so also, and here we are. Our commitment to you, to the community, is number one, keeping you informed of the activities. Number two, subcontract opportunities for the local area, and of course, employment opportunities. Joe Hernandez, I'd like to introduce, is a member of my team. I've worked with Joe for several years now. Joe was involved with the East Side Rail Extension, and as well as more recently on my project in Arcadia, the iconic freeway structure, which crosses the 210 freeway. Joe is also involved with another project that we are a lead on, which is the Expo 2 project, not Expo 1, but the Expo 2 extension into Culver City. Also keep in mind that Skanska is also the lead partner on the regional connector job, which is also had their groundbreaking last week. And we are hoping that we will be the selected contractor for the West Side subway extension also. There's a little bit of issues going on with that, but we expect to be the lead on that also. So I want to introduce Joe to you. Joe is a small businessman. He is an entrepreneur, and he has been a great asset to this team so far. So go ahead and introduce your team.
All right, thank you, Lawrence. Appreciate that. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here with us this evening. They told me they put me last because I had all the nice positive things to talk about that impact the community relative to the construction of the project, and I hope I do. I think I'm going to bring a message to you that you're going to see that this contractor, Skanska, Stacy, and Whitbeck, are committed to this community. In fact, any community in which they build in, and they've hired me to make sure that we communicate to you if there's opportunities, how you can get access to those opportunities, whether it be for a construction work, other contract, whether it be for construction jobs, working as a laborer or a carpenter, or if you have an issue, who are you going to call? Who are you going to call to get an answer right away in case something on this project is either too noisy, the traffic is being an impact to you? Who are you going to call? Well, it's going to be our team, and that's why Lawrence brought us on. And I really want to thank Lawrence and Skanska in particular as a company. They hired me. They brought me my first contract. I'm a disadvantaged business. Started working in Los Angeles, and they gave me my first contract. And it was about a 3-month contract, I believe, Lawrence, to help you develop a program on your iconic freeway structure project. And I eventually grew that into the life term of that project. And Lawrence has continued to seek to work with me. And I think we have a great relationship, and I think there's a lot of trust here. And I think most importantly for this community is I think Lawrence sees the commitment that I have to make sure that anyone who has an issue on the project, anyone that wants to find out what's going on the project, can give us a call, and you will get a quick response. Right? We won't leave the door open or closed for you, okay? So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can expect as far as the opportunities on the project. Right, and who's got the slide control? We got the slide control right up here. Okay, I think you're on the right slide here. So let's go to the next one here. So there are 3 elements here that my team is going to represent. You'll meet my team in a little bit. Jobs. This project, you see the scale model here. I don't know how many people it took to build that, but we're going to build the full-scale version of this, and it's going to take a lot of people to build it. Primarily laborers, carpenters, and iron workers, and several other of the trades. And so, Lawrence, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're expecting at peak, when the project is at full work mode, we're going to have maybe 250 workers on the project site on a given day.
That's what we're expecting.
Say we expect around 200. So at its peak, about 250 individuals with hard hats are going to be out there constructing this bridge. We're going to ramp up and then we're going to ramp down, but for a couple of months, you're going to see about 250 folks out there. But a lot more people than that are going to actually touch this project. I might expect maybe 500 to 600 people, individual people coming and spending maybe more than a week here on this project. So in other words, there are going to be some opportunities associated with this project for folks from the community and from the greater Los Angeles area. But our focus is to work with community members to get you access to these jobs. The other element is for contracts. This project is federally funded by the Federal Highway Administration. And with those federal funds comes strings. There are strings attached to this. And those strings relative to the contracting side is that we need to bring on about $48 million worth of contracts with disadvantaged businesses such as myself. So we are going to be looking to this community to help us fill $48 million worth of work on this project, primarily in the construction area. And then the last part of it is the construction relations element. A big part of what Skanska and Stacy Whitbeck want to accomplish with this project is to make sure that you're not surprised by anything going on in this project, that you're well aware of any detour that may happen, that you're well aware of any noise that you may hear on this project before you hear it, before you see it. And it is my job to make sure that we figure out, working with the city's communications team, to make sure that we can effectively communicate that to you. So we're going to want to learn a little bit about how you like to receive information. What is it that you like to read emails? Is it social media? Whatever that is, we want to learn that about you. And it's going to be critically important because this is construction and sometimes the best laid plans aren't always realized. Things may change, and in the course of that change, we want to get word out to you as quickly as possible so that you can react to it and you can address those concerns that you may have, if any, with us, so that we can plan accordingly. And sometimes things will change, but we'll be here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to be responsive to your concerns and requests, okay? So let's go a little bit more into the jobs program. And we got the next slide, yeah, thank you. So this project is actually a PLA project, a project labor agreement. And what that means is the city has negotiated a contract or relationship, an agreement with the local trades. And there are various benefits, and I've listed them all here for you. You can read them. But what this means is that this community is going to get a beautiful project because it's going to be built by the best skilled craftsmen available through the local trades. There won't be any concern for a strike or anything that might delay the project as far as the labor force is concerned, because the agreement is that there is a no strike clause. And it may be one of the important elements to you is that there is a disadvantage component. This is an element that gives us the ability to look to bring on community members to work on this project, and we're going to be doing that. And with that, I'd like to bring up Veronica Diaz. Where's Veronica? There you are. So Veronica Diaz is on my team. And she's what we call a trades worker liaison. She's also going to be supporting the construction relations side. So folks, please get to know Veronica. If you're looking to talk to someone on the project, it's probably going to start with Veronica or myself, all right? And so Veronica, why don't you wave hi? Thank you very much. You want to say something? Go right ahead.
I did say I was going to say something, so. Good evening, everyone. Like Joe mentioned, my name is Veronica Diaz, and I'm simply here to help anyone who is looking for a career in construction. So if you have any questions, I will be right outside with my colleague Allison to answer any of your questions if you are seeking a career in construction. And also, we have union representatives here this evening. Delfino de la Cruz, please wave hello. Delfino is from the Laborers Union, and I have worked closely with Delfino in the past in helping individuals who are seeking, again, a career in construction. They have a great boot camp program, and that places individuals in an apprenticeship program. So please come and see me if you have any questions. On a more personal note, it makes me very proud to help the residents of this community, which I grew up in, to benefit in the construction of the 6th Street Viaduct. Thank you. Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Verónica Díaz. Estoy aquí para asistir y dar información sobre el proyecto de construcción y a las personas que tienen interés en trabajar en la carrera de construcción. Si gustan más información, estaré afuera para dar más información sobre cómo tener una carrera en construcción. Invitamos a todos hombres y mujeres. En este momento también quiero presentar al representante del miembro de la Unión de Trabajadores con quien yo he trabajado, el señor Delfino de la Cruz, que está atrás. Delfino, por favor, una vez más. Gracias. Por favor, si tienen alguna información o preguntas, vengan a verme hasta allá afuera en la mesa. Y en una nota personal, estoy muy contenta de estar en este proyecto, porque yo nací y crecí en esta comunidad. Y tengo mucho orgullo de poder asistir a los miembros de la comunidad, en la comunidad que también es mía. Gracias.
All right, thank you, Veronica. You mentioned Allison. Allison Lobenstein is also on our team, and she's helping with the local jobs program as well. So I do want to mention, though, so we mentioned Delfino with the Laborers Union. We are represented heavily by the trades here, and I want to mention a few. Ron Miller from the LAOC Building and Construction Trades, raise your hand. We just met with Ron, and Ron has given us his commitment to support us in our endeavors to bring community workers onto the project. Also here is Gary Cook with Plumber Local 78. Gary, raise your hand, please. And with the laborers, Tony Olea, where's Tony? Delfino, we already talked to you. Ernesto Pantoya over in the back there, and then Wen Lee with electricians. Where's Wen? There we go. So those are our partners here. They're going to help make sure that we have access to the best quality tradesmen and the local community tradesmen as well. We also have community-based organizations that we partner with, and we've got several, but I'd like to mention in particular because we're here, the Puente Learning Center. We're going to be looking to partner with them to identify those individuals that have an aptitude and want to start a career in construction. Please come see us. We'd like to work with you. So if the Puente Learning Center, please send us your best our way. We'll be happy to work with them. Now on the construction, or one more thing. So Lawrence mentioned here that Skanska, and I'm going to mention the 5, Lawrence, that you mentioned up here. So Skanska at this particular point in time has 5 projects that have either started or are about to get started. One of them is a question mark. That's the West Side Extension. We hope to hear good news on that pretty soon. But we're in a unique position. Skanska, Stacy Whitbeck, but with Skanska, the partner here, having 5 projects in the regional area, the greater Los Angeles area. If we can't find work for you on this project, we mentioned maybe 250 jobs at peak on this project, but if we can't find jobs for you here, we are connected to those other 4 projects. We might have the ability to place you on those projects as well. And the news gets even better. Ron mentioned that the labor forecast looks really good. That there's going to be a lot of opportunity in the future. They're going to be looking for new apprentices to come in and fill the slots because there's just a lot of work out there. If you've been downtown, you just see all the construction going on. So good times, if you will, on the job forecast side. And we're here to help you. If you don't know what to do, if you're looking to start a career, maybe in construction, come talk to Veronica, and she'll get you pointed in the right direction. And I believe some folks in this room maybe might have an opportunity even on this project. So anyone here, by the way, interested in a career in construction, raise your hand, let us know so we can go get Veronica to talk to you. Right, but but let me just give you a couple of success stories here. So we've been doing this for quite a while. Lawrence mentioned the East Side Project. So the lady on the left here wearing a hard hat with the slow sign, that's Lorena. I won't mention her last name, but she's allowed us to use her photo and talk about her story. She actually started working for the folks that are now associated with the Skanska team on the construction of the East Side Gold Line extension. And that was several years ago now. Well, she's continued to be working with the Skanska team. They like her work attitude, and she shows up to work on time every day. And she has continued to grow with the Skanska Corporation. She's working on the Expo project right now, and potentially has an opportunity to work on this project. She's from East LA, by the way, folks. And then the gentleman on the right, his name is Tyron. And Tyron came to us, like a lot of folks do, with a sad story. He had certain disadvantages he was facing. Won't go into the details, but you might imagine what that could be. He was struggling to find work. Well, he happened to show up at the office one day, and we saw something in him, so we decided to walk him around the office and introduce him to some of the folks that make the decisions on who's going to be hired onto the project. And within 1 week, Tyron was working on the project, over on the Expo project in Santa Monica. And he's been another success story for us. And so that's kind of how it works. Sometimes it happens immediately, sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Our partners, the Labor Union Boot Camp and the others, that's going to be a portal to get folks trained up and get ready for these opportunities when they come up. So if you're looking for work or have a friend that may be looking for work, please refer him to Veronica. Right, the other side of it, we mentioned this, there's going to be a tremendous amount of contracting opportunity on this project to the tune of about $48 million. That's quite a bit. It's a just under 24% goal that the city has assigned to this project. And so we've got to fill that $48 million opportunity with DBE firms. And the way to get started with that is going to be at the end of this month. I don't know if we put a date up here. It says the 29th. But we're still working on that date. Sometime at the end of this month or sometime maybe in the early part of November, if you are looking for work, if you have a company and are looking for work, maybe that can help us build this bridge. Or if you have a friend, a business owner friend that is looking to do some work, please have them come talk to us sooner than later, because if they're not a DBE firm, we need to help you get certified. You need to be DBE certified to participate on this project. And maybe the way to get started with this entire process is going to be to show up at our event. Everyone in this room will be sent a notice about when the small business event is going to come up, so you won't be missed. And please share it, and we're going to distribute it to all the other businesses in this community as well. So that's how you get started there. We kind of talked about where the opportunities are going to start. We're probably going to start seeking bids the early part of next year, and then construction work starts sometime in April or May or so. That's the time frame, but the work starts now to get connected to us there, okay? And then on this last slide here, oh, this was funny because this was an event that we actually hosted early part of this year back in, I believe it was February 28th. We're in the middle of a drought, right? It's been like this for a few years. It's very dry. Well, we hold this event. It was 5 in the morning, I think we were up. Sunny every day leading up to this for about 2 months, and then what happens? Well, the heavens open up on this day. It rained probably 5 inches that day, I think, in parts of LA. The river was about this high. We could see it from where we were standing, in fact. So we actually moved this tent underneath the bridge structure, so it provided some cover for us as we hosted this event. 75 people RSVP'd. I think Veronica made calls. Yes, we're still going to have this event even though it's raining. 50 people showed up, and those folks are already starting to work with us and figure out how they can get opportunities on this project. And we'll do the next one sometime in late October or November. Next slide. All right, so I guess we skipped over a slide, but now, Gary, back to you.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Michael and Deborah and Alfred and Lawrence and Vic and Terrence, come on up. Finally, with your patience of not asking any questions, it's now that time to ask some questions. And just to remind you that the website is www.6thstreetviaductreplacement.org. We could not think of a longer name, but we almost got there. And so the other thing that I do want to do is also thank our labor leaders. I know that all of them were mentioned, but Ron Miller and Gary Cook and Antonio Leo and Delfino de la Cruz, Ernesto Pantoya and Yuyan Lee, they really are great partners with us on our projects. The project labor agreement has just been a real benefit to all of us, making sure that we complete the projects on time. And they're with tremendous quality. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to questions and answers at this point. I think we have some questions, and we have a microphone, right, team? We must have with all of our outreach folks from Urban Strategies, right? Who
Absolutely.
is going to help us here. There's tons of questions, so we'll get a couple mics and we'll go right ahead. Let's start with one.
Check, check.
It's going.
Thanks. I was very pleased to hear about the disadvantaged business outreach, and the team gave some specific numbers for goals for spending for those contracts, and that's great. Are there any specific targets for targeted hires, or what percentage of them will be disadvantaged workers, and how you define that? And will you make that information, or if you achieve those benchmarks, public on the website?
We definitely have targets on those numbers, and we'll be glad to share that information. And yeah, that's perfect. Absolutely. Next question. There was one up here, this gentleman, or right up here to the front. I just happened to choose, and so then we'll come back to you, sir.
Congratulations on doing something bold. I'm really glad to see this. The old bridge made it 90 years, limped along. How long will this last, or how long do you plan to build it for? How does that work?
Well, let me see. What was that? Caltrans says 100 years, but you know, the other bridges that you see up and down the river with minor upgrades are going to last long past 100 years. So we're definitely thinking 100 plus years with this great of investment. This gentleman right here that I was raising your hand, here. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, my business is located on Clarence Street, which is virtually underneath where the new bridge is to go. We've not been contacted by anybody concerning this project, and it's just me talking to my neighbours that I found out about it. We really would like to know how we're going to be affected, what there's going to be in terms of outreach to us, because we've had zero contact at all, okay? We employ 20 people at our location. We employ lots of other people in contracts elsewhere around the city, yet we don't exist as far as this is concerned.
Okay. First of all, apologize for that. We have contacted all the businesses where we need to take, Alfred, come on up here. What were you doing back there, Alfred? Get back over here. And we, all the businesses that are actually have to be taken for this project. Udi Jimenez, I know Udi's here, who's in charge of our real estate. There's Udi right there behind you. And raise your hand again, Udi. At the end, please talk to Udi. He handles all of that. But then we'll make sure we connect with you because our intention, and we've been outreaching, so obviously we missed you and we apologize. There's a hand right there.
Hi, yeah, I was wondering, with all the green space, there's probably going to be a lot of community events, and I'm wondering, what does the city plan to accommodate parking? There's not a lot of parking in the neighborhoods.
So, where's Paul Habib and the Chief of Staff for Councilman Weezer here? Here, Paul. Well, I'm sharing. This is fun.
The part under the bridge, that's the conceptual part that we are still having to form together with the community. As you said, they've got conceptual stuff. We know we're getting a soccer field, but all the rest of what's happening under there, all the landscape is still to come. Parking can be part of that equation. We haven't delved into those because we want to make that formed off what the community wants, both on the east side and the west side. And obviously, the main goal is to try and get, pedestrian and bike access to the bridge. But we can discuss parking as well. That hasn't been at the forefront yet because we're still fleshing out everything we want to see under there.
Paul, thanks. You don't get to leave now. But this is the type of thing we want to hear from you tonight. And your concerns, we've taken every time we've had a community meeting, we take these concerns back and we address them. You see things we don't see, so thank you for the question, and we will follow through.
Hey Gary, Joe here. I neglected when I was speaking, folks, to introduce one of our partners, David Isai with the LA Trade Tech College, and just briefly wanted him to say something.
Thanks a lot. Just want to let you know that one of the most viable and exciting community colleges is just a few blocks away from this project. And it has been a leader in career technical education for 90 years. So with the help of the unions and our labor friends and all the people in the community, Trade Tech is available to teach you how to be, a construction engineer and a lot of other things. And we have short-term programs and a lot of things happening on campus. So if you have people that are interested in getting into that field and to get into this project, we're right here for you, right there on Washington and Grand. So thanks a lot.
There's a hand right up, or there's one there, and then great.
Hi Gary, Joe Diaz with the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council Vice President and the Youth Opportunity Movement right here at the Boyle Heights Tech Center. To everyone that's here, I definitely want to make sure that the youth are very involved, the community is very involved. I appreciate you guys coming here. This is about 10th meeting that you guys had. We've been to all of them, but I definitely want to make sure it is there, the agreement is there for the community that starting on the east side, the first site that's going to be construction, sort of the improvement, which is 4th and Pecan, where the tech center is at. So again, I definitely thank you guys for coming. Thank you for sharing, but definitely keep us in consideration when it starts. I know we've had great relationship with Trade Tech already, so it's just a coincidence we went just after Trade Tech. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly hope that this project motivates people to go into the trades, into architecture and engineering. I really hope that we are building the future leaders, and this project can be a motivator for that. Just a hand there and then a hand.
Good evening. My name is Kim Page with Optimal Real Estate in downtown Los Angeles. My question is to Mike, the architectural...
The architect.
Architect, yes. For me, it's just, the design is so beautiful, and I really love the model and all that. When you have mentioned about the lighting, LED lighting, I know there are different Kelvins that can show yellow to white to bluish white. So I'm just wondering, curious, because I drive that bridge, and that's kind of an important thing for me, because it seems it's a beautiful thing. So I'm just, wondering what color.
Well, thank you. We haven't set a color temperature yet. That in the testing we're doing, we still have a series of large-scale mock-ups that need to be produced. And it's in those mock-ups that we'll start to look at with the lighting designers, the actual color temperature to make it sympathetic to the color of the bridge, the concrete, and the surroundings. So that's something I'm very sensitive to, but we're not at a point yet where I could say it's exactly 3,000, 4,000 K. But that is going to be part of the work as we continue to develop the bridge.
There's this gentleman right there.
And then we'll go back to Paul, after this, we'll go to the back of the room since I feel like I've been cheating and everybody up front here.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Tom Traffolet. I live in Factory Place Arts Complex, which is about 800 feet from the intersection of Santa Fe and 6th. We were not included in the original EIR, which is a question I can take up perhaps later, because I have a few questions. I'll try and stick with one at a time. I've read all the reports. I actually made up a glossary of all the acronyms that you use so I can decipher what you're doing. And first of all, I have to say that this is an amazing, I'm a big supporter of what you're doing, first off, but I still have questions about what's going on. There's an environmental revalidation that CH2M Hill is going to do, or as I've read it in the reports that that's something that's going on. I'm not sure exactly what's entailed in that, but I would like to know if that will help to update the now sort of out-of-date 2007 EIR. In other words, will this revalidation include people, or is it just other things? And will it help to amend the lack of recognition of residences in the Arts District?
So the EIR was adopted in 2011, and all the studies that it was a long process to develop that document. All the studies that are in there were restudied and validated in 2011.
Right.
And yes, as part of the process of going forward with construction, Caltrans require, they're the oversight to this project, they require that we validate the environmental studies to make sure that the project and the impacts that the project has on the environment are consistent with what was identified in the environmental impact report. To the extent that they're not, then there would be some study done and mitigation recommended. So those processes will go forward. Like, for example, we're planning to start the intersection work at the end of, by the end of this year. So that's that'll be the first thing that Caltrans validates, working with us and our program management team, CH2M Hill, to validate that the intersection improvements are or are not consistent with the environmental document.
Okay, but does that include people in this revalidation?
I think if there's things that, yes, it does. To the extent that things need to be reevaluated and mitigation needs to be studied, proposed, then it would involve people.
Where can the public have input into this process? Who on your team on 6 would be the right place for people to go to say, like, I live here, I was living here in 2007 and you didn't count me then, and this is going to impact me. Where would that public input go to? To CH2M Hill?
Yeah, there's no public input in this process.
Okay, all right.
But sir, we would love to hear from you, and so you should, as we conclude, come and talk with us. Yeah, great.
And then for our next question, I did also, whenever you're going through names, you always forget one, and I apologize. William Cox of the LA Job Corps. Where's William? Is he still here? Oh, there's William. Thanks for being here also, and another partner with us. William, thank you for being here. Sir, your question.
Hi, my name is Harley Cross. I'm a business owner and resident in the Arts District for the last 15 years. As this lady brought up the issue of parking, the more successful this project is, the more people will come. Every meeting I've had, I've brought it up. I've heard other people bring it up, and every time it's brought up, it's not incorporated into the budget, and so everybody sort of scrolls around it because you don't have an answer. But I cannot stress enough that this is going to live and die in a certain sense on the impact that it has to the people who are in this community, not just residents, but businesses as well. And if it's not incorporated into this early phase, it is not necessarily going to have the funding, and it is not necessarily going to happen. So that when you wipe out all the buildings that are under eminent domain for this pocket park, say on this side of the bridge, that's the time when you're going to go underground and build a 3-story underground structure. It's not afterwards when you're looking for money and realize, like, well, we can get a couple dollars, maybe we can destroy the park on the other side and put cars on level ground because we didn't think about it before. So I don't know what we need to do as a community, because I brought it up in every meeting. I've heard other people bring it up in every meeting, and every time, I mean, I appreciate the difficult situation that Paul is in trying to swirl around this question. They don't have the dollars for it, and I understand that. But somebody at some point is going to have to step up to the plate and say, if this park is successful and people come from all over Los Angeles because it's such a beautiful bridge and it's so well done, we are going to be in a total nightmare situation, and somebody is going to have a last-minute plan that everybody's going to hate, and it's going to suck. So what can we do as a community at this stage of the game now to get that onto the budget so that the money is there so that you guys can, you know, fulfill the promise of this project and make it a livable situation when it actually comes to fruition?
I think we're hearing it. Councilman Weezar, Paul Habib, the Chief of Staff for Councilman Weezar, is hearing it, and we will dialogue. We will work with you.
To that point, I mean, that is the purpose of this. I think everyone in this entire room has heard it loud and clear. The parking needs to be addressed. Absolutely, I'm going to acknowledge that we need to figure that out. We are still, as the architect said, trying to figure out what the underside looks like. It's all conceptual. We have plenty of time to put it in, but you're right, it needs to be part of it now and not 10 years from now. I doubt it's going to be a parking structure, but the idea of adding parking is something that we need to address. I'm going to be very blunt. A parking structure I don't think is part of this, but how to address, we have a lot of space that we can look to address to do parking, and we will look to do that. But I'm not saying a parking structure is off the table. Yeah, we can look at that, but we need to look at the entirety of the underside of this bridge and figure out where's the best places to bring parking, at the same time not to interrupt what we're trying to do, which is bringing that open space into the riverbanks and all that kind of stuff. So I hear you loud and clear. As we go through in our community updates, I'm going to ask when we have future landscape presentations that parking is one of the things that is noted, so you don't have to say I keep bringing it up and it's not here, and we can give updates on what the discussion is. And I'm going to ask BOE to help us with that. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Paul. There was a question back there.
Two questions, so if you can answer both, that'd be great. But piggybacking on that, was there a decided footprint size of what's going to be happening under the bridge? I know one of the things that's come up at several meetings has been the question of what's going to be displaced underneath the bridge, and that seems to be very vague. I don't know if that's been determined yet. And then the second was, when the gentleman gave the presentation about the intersections that were going to be fixed, I couldn't really hear him very well, and so I didn't catch everything that he had said. And I was wondering also if there were improvements for pedestrians and cyclists, because as more traffic is going to be shuttled towards 4th Street, there's a lot of people that do cross from Boyle Heights into the city for work by all modes, and so I just wanted to make sure that they were protected as well.
Yeah, let me answer the second question first, and that has to do with all the intersection improvements. We have some very simplified diagrams of the intersections, and I just committed the team that we'll put those up on the internet. So you can really simply, there won't be the detailed engineering drawings, but we'll show you where the changes are happening because of the bridge shutdown. So it'll be very clear for you. And we can have those up in a week. Good, I got a yes from the team who supported me. Within a week, we'll have those simplified diagrams up on the internet at the www.6th Street Viaduct Replacement.org, and we'll have those there for you. On your first question was about the space underneath and what we have to take. There's one more slide. Terrence, could you forward it one more time? I think on the next one, the team is pretty impressive. I was going to say, You can't read that when I stand here 3 foot from the screen, but we'll leave it up afterwards. And it actually shows all the parcels that we're taking in the blue there. Well, temporary construction, and some of them are permanent takes. But this diagram shows where the existing bridge is, obviously, and then the red dashed line is where the new bridge goes. We'll leave this up. We'll be up here. Udi's here, who's in charge of our real estate, who's been negotiating. And all those property owners have been spoken to. And Udi, I think, quite a few of the owners, I want to thank the owners, because quite a few of them we've negotiated successfully. We're not in condemnation with, and we've had a great working partnership with these businesses, and we understand the challenge that they're facing because of this new bridge. Well, next question from somebody?
Hi, my name is Justin Shankarel. I'm a board member of the Arts District Neighborhood Council, and I want to thank you all for this fantastic presentation. I live close to the 7th Street Bridge on the Arts District side, and I was informed by the presentation regarding the intersections. A lot of the traffic is going to be diverted to 4th Street, so there's going to be improvements to that street area, but a lot of traffic will also be diverted to 7th Street, which is actually a closer bridge to 6th Street. And I'm wondering what kind of improvements will be done to the intersections around my area. That's my first question. Thank you.
So we'll do that one. So who wants to answer that? Terrence, you know the intersections by heart, so tell us what some of the improvements on the 7th Street.
I believe at 7th and Alameda, we are doing curb ramp replacements and traffic signal improvements.
What about it?
7 and Boyle. Yes, 7 and Boyle, we are doing also handicap ramp improvements and some signal upgrades.
What about in regards to 7th and Mateo? Because a lot of the traffic comes down Mateo instead of the bridge, which is where people are going to be accessing the bridge, which is where I live. And I'm wondering if there's going to be any improvements to the intersection there, which already gets a lot of traffic and is going to have an extensive more amount of traffic.
What? Just tell them?
No, 7 and Mateo, we're not planning any improvements at that intersection.
My second question, thank you, is in regards to the landscape architecture that's going to be going on underneath the bridge. There's been a lot of discussion about it, which looks fantastic, but in terms of a timeline, is that going to be completed after the infrastructure of the bridge is completed or concurrently?
So given the process of construction, the landscape infrastructure will come after the bridge is constructed, but it is part of the project. But it will be the final thing that we do so that it's not at risk of being destroyed by the bridge construction.
Early 2019. Other question? Yes.
Hi, Gary. I'm John Peterson. We met at the port.
Yes.
I had a meeting with Janice Sidley
Yes.
on another client. You mentioned the cooperative nature of many of the property owners. Well, I actually represent very cooperative property owners, but we're in some litigation with the city right now because we haven't resolved things. I just wanted to point out it's a two-way street. We need cooperation from city staff also, and I'd like to maybe talk with you afterwards or at another time about the process.
Sure, absolutely.
Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. It's 7:35. We'll take like about 3 more questions, and then we'll be up here so that other people can leave. So I saw one new hand there, and I got a new hand back there. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Blanca Medrano, and I work for Para los Niños. We're a charter school at 7th and Alameda. And I know you talked about some of the traffic signals that you'll be changing there, but for us, it's really important to understand how the traffic flow on 7th Street is going to affect us during our parent drop-off and pickup times. We have children that are being dropped off for a charter school as well as an early ed center. So we'd like to understand and know and communicate to our parents what we need to do to prepare for this. So I know that you're putting maps up and plans, but I would really love to be able to sit with somebody from Councilman Weezar's office and really understand how it's going to affect the 400 parents, students that we actually service in that area.
No problem. Afterwards, come and see Alfred, and we'll make sure, obviously, Councilman Weezer's office will be involved, but we know all those details, and we'll coordinate with you, and we'll work with you and our outreach team. And so please come up and make sure that happens.
Hi, I'm Mary Alvarez. I'm a Boyle Heights resident. And I'm just curious about handicap accessibility and how much of the bridge, especially the lower level, will be accessible.
Okay. The bridge itself and the ramps that will be coming down, which are not in this model because we're still working on them, they will be ADA accessible. So you will be able to get ADA accessible, so wheelchair accessible. And that was something very important to everybody up here on this team, was to make this accessible. And one last question. And we'll go back to you then, since nobody wants to be.
Be around after as well too, right?
Well, we're going to be up here. I just was just right up here, Paul, right up here in front.
Thank you for the repeat. One of the things that, and in disclosure, I happened to speak with Terrence, and apparently I spoke with the right person the first time, but I wanted to put this out for the community too. My concern, living in Factory Place, is what I call the Santa Fe Mateo corridor. In looking at the plans for the intersection improvements, which are great, I don't see anything to deal with the 4th place on-ramp to the 4th Street Bridge. And having limited knowledge just from what I read from your reports, it only seems logical that if you're going to cut off Santa Fe, and you've got a lot of northbound truck traffic coming out of the industrial district, people are not gonna go all the way to your nice new curb at Alameda and go all the way up to 4th and come all the way back. They're going to go up Mateo. They're just going to. And I don't see any plans for that intersection. It's a blind corner. It's very difficult. You've got one Santa Fe feeding into that same spot. And I would like to see some consideration for the potential hazards, because it's a residential area. You've got Barker Block, you've got development coming up right and left all around there. And it would be a shame to have somebody get killed in one of those intersections.
This is 4th Street Place going east on the bridge, right?
That's correct, coming from Mateo.
Yep, I used it tonight.
Yep, so it's been.
I stopped at the stop sign, I looked back, and then I went across 4th Street. Yes.
Yeah, but it's blind, and so you know it's a blind corner, and it would just be good to. It can't cost that much more. I know you're on a tight budget, but it's just something that looks like a roof. I mean, I'm just a layman, but it just looks like a potential hazard.
Thank you. No, that's great.
Thank you.
Hey, once again, we sincerely thank you for taking your time tonight. We know how hard everybody works in this and how much you care about your community. We're invested in this, and we look forward to coming back to see you again. And please come up and talk to us, and we'll be here for a while. Have a great night. Adios. Muchas gracias.